Reddit. What is something you enjoy that gets unfairly judged before it's given a chance? Going to movies alone. I don't have to make conversation. I can just enjoy the dang movie. People watch movies at home alone all the time, but go out the theater by yourself and it's weird for some reason. Sometimes I wish my partner wouldn't insist on going to movies with me just to spend time with me. I love movies. She enjoys them. But when there's something I'm excited for and she isn't, sometimes it reduces my enjoyment because I'm scared she isn't liking it. I would say ballroom dancing. First of all, people often don't realize how much time it takes to be really good at it. A team in my area practices something like 5 days a week, 3 hours each day. I had a friend who was on it and he said practices were brutal. Most of the time the coaches are nitpicking tiny things you're doing wrong that need fixing. Even something as simple as turning too much or too little. Ballroom is also seen as unmanly. There is nothing unmanly about dancing tango with a girl. Besides, girls love dancing with me at school dances in high school. I had one of the hottest girls in the school tell me I was her favorite date ever because I taught her some super basic steps and we dances around the dance floor during some of the slow songs. So really guys, take your girlfriend out for some lessons. You'll have an awesome time. Bruce Lee was a dancer and taught dancing lessons for a time. So frick anyone who says it's unmanly. Honestly, going on Reddit. A few friends know I browse Reddit often and they have this terrible image of Reddit before even trying it themselves. You just gotta know which subreddits are good and bad. Amen, brother. Now, let us rise up against the heathens who tarnish our good name. Arise, Reddit army. In seriousness, I've seen this too. It's pretty annoying, but I don't get too worked up about it. Motorsports. What's fun about watching cars go in circles? The strategy behind the crew, the technology in the cars themselves, the weather if it has a chance of affecting the race, the beautiful sights of places like Le Mans and Spa, and the driving. Is it all F1? Number. Is it all NASCAR? NASCAR is mainly fun when you're at the race, not so much on TV. Give it a shot and you may just be surprised. I swear, I get blasted for being a NASCAR fan in the South more than you would think. It's cool to understand what's happening and how it affects the race. The average Joe could learn some interesting things watching races. Playing. Adults forget how to play and let loose and have fun like we all did when we were little ones. It's good for us. Nothing wrong with a good old-fashioned water balloon fight or whatever as an adult. Drinking alone. Tell people you go out to bars every weekend plus Wednesday happy hour and spend all your money on booze and you have a life. Tell them you enjoy making yourself a drink at home alone watching Netflix and you're alcoholic. Tell them you enjoy making yourself a drink at home alone watching Netflix and you're alcoholic. Playing Battlefield 4 and sipping whiskey every time I die is one of my favorite things to do. Eating alone. People automatically assume you're a weird outcast for sitting down and ordering food for one. It's a fun time to play on my phone, get my food, not worry about small talk or having to pay for more than one meal. Nobody actually thinks you're an outcast when you eat alone. You just think they think that. Nobody cares what you are doing, because they are wrapped up in their own crap and don't have time to think about some guy who is eating alone. Anime and animated cartoons. Avatar: The Last Airbender, The Legend of Korra, Rick and Morty among others are amazing when and after you watch them, but just because they are cartoons get judged before they are even watched. Magic: The Gathering. People just assume I'm some nerd that has problems socializing, but Magic is an incredibly deep and complex game. It really challenges the mind and it's fun as heck. My only real objection to the game itself is the cost, but I've found much of the community to be rather toxic. Might be a weird one, but therapy. Having a therapist doesn't mean I'm crazy or have a condition. It's just an easy way to get things off my chest without risking drama from friends and family. You make it sound like having a condition is something to be ashamed of. Whatever reason someone goes to therapy, it shouldn't be weird. Nobody thinks it weird when they see their dentist for a toothache. So why should we feel bad about going to therapy when we need to work through a brain ache? Rap and hip hop. I'll be the first to admit there's some ignorant crap spewed by some artists, but it's unfair to condemn the entire genre. There's some truly beautiful and fascinating concepts expressed about society. People miss that other genres have ugly sides. Just because it is in a lyric it doesn't mean we are expected to uncritically view it as the artist's opinion in real life. In this case I have to say food. People often look or smell something and simply stay away without trying it once. Some people are seriously missing out. When I explained how I make dumplings to my friend, I told them that I add equal parts salt and sugar to some cold water, then dissolve them both. I then pour the mixture into a bowl and add flour as I combine into dough. Their main gripe was that I added sugar. Mind you, they've never tried my dumplings. They just assumed that a little sugar would make them taste disgusting. Comic books. I really enjoy the stories and art. My roommates kind of treat my passion for comic books like I'm part of the Big Bang Theory. I also work in the IT field. Doesn't help. Comic bro. I don't even care anymore. With how popular that genre is getting, I have no issues telling people I enjoy reading them. Especially things like The Walking Dead. But DC has my heart. Fan fiction. I don't know if it's a generational thing or just a big misunderstanding, but anytime I mention that I read fan fiction, people look at me like I'm a tween girl who obsesses over Twilight or something. There's plenty of fan fiction that is god awful, but there's also plenty that are incredible reads, hundreds of thousands of words, and are sometimes better than the source material. I understand the stigma, I guess. I just wish that people wouldn't consider it not a valid form of reading. Watching YouTube gaming videos and Twitch streams. 90% of people who don't watch it are like, OMG, why not just play the game yourself instead of watching other people play it? To which I usually respond with, then why do you watch sports? Because playing sports requires people to play with. Playing online allows you to play with anyone. I'm not saying watching Twitch bad, I'm just playing devil's advocate. Cosplay. Cosplayer here. A lot of people hide the fact they do because they don't want people to judge them for it. I'm not easily embarrassed and love throwing that information out there, but once I do. So you cosplay, Hunter? It's amazing how ignorant people are. I've always wanted to try cosplay, but I have a feeling I'd just end up butchering whoever I tried to cosplay as, lol. Hair is starting to grey at 18, so I'm considering Geralt of Rivia in a year or two. If I can lose my gut, that is. Not actively searching for sex relationships. Honestly, I feel like I've gotten it all out of my system. I kinda really like being single. My longest and first relationship was over 2.5 years, and afterwards I was exploring my sexuality. TLDR. Turned out I was bi, which is what prompted the end of my first relationship. But now it feels like I've done that, learned about myself, and that's it. A lot of my friends are either in relationships or actively seeking them one night stands, and my outlook gets dismissed quite often as well, being viewed as the opposite of what I should want. Bisexuals are usually stereotyped as man whores. I'm just pretty tired of all the sense of superiority that people in relationships give off, as well as the faux get Tinder grinder. It's like shooting tail in a barrel balls. Honestly, a lot of hipster crap gets a bad reputation because, well, it's hipster crap. But craft beer actually tastes really good, and indie music encompasses lots of genres, a lot of which are pretty nice. Also, I personally think riding a fixed gear on a college campus is convenient because you can control your speed in really crowded areas without needing to use brakes. Indie music is a whole separate genre at this point. But indie music is now poppy folk music. Not saying it's bad, and I'm not saying that is hipster music, but that is how I see indie music. Nintendo games. Nintendo makes some of the most challenging games in the industry. Definitely the most challenging AAA games. The main stories are usually easy as P, and the challenges in the optional levels and stuff. But apparently, because they actually use the full color spectrum and their characters aren't a bunch of brooding, miserable bastards, that makes them kiddie and not worth playing. Nintendo games are truly imaginative. People who say their kids' games have never played a game like Lock's Quest or Xenoblade. Audiobooks. People can't comprehend the untraditional way of doing things, even the simplest acts such as reading. When I tell them how I discovered audiobooks, they instantly frown and think of reasons why it is not a good way of doing it. Mostly they come up with, you gotta speed up your reading. You gotta fix your weak focus, but what they don't realize is how it changed my life that I'm now able to knock down 1 to 3 books every week. Being super into NASCAR. If I go around telling people I love stock car racing, they'll assume that I have a single digit IQ and live off of pork rinds and moonshine. From what I've seen, saying that you are into stock car racing and saying that you are into NASCAR mean two different things. In my experience, neither is bad, but being into NASCAR is about watching cars go fast in circles, and being into stock car racing is as much about the speed as it is the build, design, etc. of the cars. I honestly can't believe it hasn't been said, but not drinking by choice. I found out fairly recently I have an allergy that backs up my non-drinking now, but before I knew it was what was making me sick. I would say it was by choice. Drinking always sped up my heartbeat, causing me to hear it in my ears and then have extreme dizziness and nausea. People would usually immediately ask me if I smoke weed, don't, due to a horrific previous experience, and then ask me what the heck I even do for fun. It's caused people to not invite me out to fun events like birthdays at bars or house parties or even just hangs after work. People even ask me how I deal with drunk people, or how I find bars fun at all, or how do I ever relax. I must be so uptight. Please tell me you can at least have sex, etc. People will immediately unmatch me on Tinder when they find out I don't drink. Don't even bother asking why. They also tell me you have no idea what you're missing out on. It's kind of shocking to judge why things people say when they discover this fact about me. Trust me, that's like 30 times worse in Northern Ireland. Judgment comes from on high if you don't drink by choice, though I always find it easier to just keep it to myself. At least you can say you have a reason now. As for people unmatching you on Tinder, try to steer the conversation away from that if that's the case. And hey, if they unmatch over that, they're shallow B anyways. My dogs, they're Dobermans and people assume that they're going to be eaten by them. I mean, they will eat you if they think you're being unreasonable by breaking into my house or trying to hurt me, but it's not because they're scary looking. Some people just aren't gonna like dogs. Poor Dobermans get a bad rap. I think they're cool as crap. Lapping. There are no fat guys running around yelling magic missile. Magic missile in the group I LARP with. We do throw packets for magic, yes, but most of us are rogues or fighters and there's a lot of intense group SWAT fights. Really fun stuff. Okay, obviously some people are straight and that's fine, but gay sex, it's not so much. I think straight folks should give it a chance, but don't get dramatically offended and grossed out if it's mentioned. I've seen straight guys who lose their crap like they just watched a baby getting ripped in half if a guy starts talking about a sexual experience with another guy. I really enjoy playing the Pokemon TCG. I'm 17, but I will never tell anyone other than the friends I play with about it. Social suicide. 22 here. I still play Pokemon with friends who are as old as me and can't wait for Sun and Moon. I was never able to get a hang of the TCG, but I love the art for them. Model trains. It's just a fun little hobby and I love trains. People immediately assume you have a social disorder when you admit to that. Model trains make me bounce like a child. They're cool as crap. I really like Gearbox's new game Battleborn and I'm afraid it's very easily pushed aside as an Overwatch clone. When given a fair chance the game holds up pretty well. Metal music. It's an acquired taste, but few give it much of a chance. Saying you hate metal is like saying you hate Italian food. Even if you legitimately hate 99% of it, there's something for everyone. It's a very diverse genre. The only question is whether or not it is worth the effort to find. Metal is all screaming. There are plenty of counterexamples. If you eliminate all the metal with harsh vocals, there is still plenty of good metal left. Also, what's so bad about screaming? It's just another vocal technique. I can't understand the lyrics, or so they say after listening to Gangnam Style for the 100th time. It's also not a genre with many casual fans. If you don't love it, you probably despise it. That's fine. We all like different things. However, people rarely say something like it's just not for me. Instead they talk about how bad the music is, as if their personal taste translates into an objective statement about the quality of the music. The same goes to metalheads who bash hip hop. Maybe you just haven't acquired an ear for it. Maybe you aren't as open-minded as you think. Fanfiction. A lot of it is crap. I'll fully admit that. but there are a lot of talented writers continuing stories that you know and love in ways you maybe never considered. I always use the extended Star Wars universe as an example for this. It's not fair to judge an entire genre of fiction based on previous examples. Country music. I like a good country song. A lot of people have a misconception about it. Not every song is about freaking girls, riding tractors, and or driving a truck while freaking a girl tractor. Also, Florida Georgia Line and old Taylor Swift obscure what people think because it's what most will probably hear on the radio. Try Eric Church or Brothers Osborne. They both have good songs that are actually country, but I get judged at school because I listen to country. Well, this turned into a bit of a rant. Magic the Gathering. My family speaks about it as though I spend my time with a lesser class of person, even though I've made many friends from it, and when I try to explain how strategic it is and liken it to chess with an element of luck, I get told I'm exaggerating. Skydiving. Don't get me wrong, it's not for everyone, but some people just write it off immediately because they think it would be too terrifying. Valid point. Too expensive. Not really. It's $200 or dangerous. Obviously yes to some extent, but not that bad. The sensation of free fall is amazing and should be experienced by everyone at least once imo. LOL. Nope. I can already say it's not for me. Heights do not go well with me. But yeah, as evidenced by my reactions, it's probably judged harshly. Pet rats. I love rats. I had 3 in high school. Everyone thinks it's so strange, but they're very clean and intelligent and have such amazing little personalities. I love them, and I wish my butthole brother hadn't given them away. Side note, boyfriend is finally okay with me having them, so I might get some new rat baby soon. Fanfiction. People all assume it's My Immortal or 50 Shades, when in fact I've read fic that's better than most published novels and dedicated hours to reading hundreds of thousands of words of fic. I don't know. I like transformative works and being able to take something you love and change it a little bit or a lot and make it something new and interesting. To be fair, My Immortal was a classic of literature. Cubing. Solving Rubik's Cubes, 3x3, 2x2, 4x4 and so on. People think it is boring and takes years to solve. Not only it is incredibly fun to solve, but with enough practice, 1 week, you can solve one in less than 2 minutes. I ride dirt bikes. It's not a widely accepted hobby. People either think it's dangerous, dumb, or threatens endangered species. In reality, it's awesome and a great way to get out and clear my head. It's also very physically demanding, which people tend to not understand. How can it be exercise? You have a motor. End rant. You like Owl City? What are you, a 12-year-old girl? My defense. I like basically everything before all things bright and beautiful, and I'm loving all of Adam's instrumental solo work too. Warhammer Wargaming. Sometimes when I pass a store and see the people inside a Gamers workshop, I kind of think they bring it on themselves. Model kits. What a lot of people don't understand is that required assembly and painting don't always mean that it's a waste of time. Scale modeling is a very fun hobby that anyone can do with just a few tools and a little bit of patience. The best part is, once you get some practice under your belt, you can create a unique one-of-a-kind piece that will continue to inspire you to create bigger and better things. You don't even need to spend a whole lot, although that depends on what you define a whole lot as, to get into the hobby. All you need are nippers. A really good pair will run you about $40, but a decent beginner's pair is about anywhere from $10 to $20, although I'd recommend starting with the good stuff if you have the money to spare. Sandpaper. Not automotive or wood finishing sandpaper because it's a little too rough and the grit is never what the package says it is. I learned that the hard way. What you want is really just anything made by a hobby brand like Tamiya or Wave. Some metal files, which you probably won't need for newer kits, but will need for older kits or cheaply made kits to take off flash. Excess plastic from the molds the parts are made in, a cutting mat, protects your table desk and catches the sanding dust, a hobby knife, preferably a pen knife such as X-Acto or Tamiya Modeler's Knife Pro, some sanding sticks, You can either make these yourself by gluing sandpaper to popsicle sticks, or buying them pre-made, which is probably cheaper, and a cheap kit to start out on. I would not recommend buying kits at a local store, unless the prices are better than what you see online. More often than not, most stores tend to gouge prices way high, especially for imported kits, which is most of what I build. For non-imported kits, I'd recommend Amazon. For imported kits, I'd recommend using a website that is located in whatever country or continent the kits are made in, as it will be cheaper. The shipping will cost a lot, but hey, it beats import markups. Shoutouts to Gunpla, Armadelmakers, and Mini Painting for helping me to ease into the hobby and for providing a good, non-toxic community in a hobby that's full of elitists. Cartoons. Most people will just shrug them off as stuff just for kids with no merit. There are some shows I enjoy way more than most live-action shows like Avatar: The Last Airbender, Symbionic Titan, and Young Justice. Eating durian. I love durian, but there's such a strong stigma on how bad it smells. To be honest, I've never been bothered by the smell, but what my family does is keep them frozen before cutting them open. That way the smell doesn't expel before you've even eaten it, and if you eat it straight out after a short thaw, then you won't get the smell at all. It's such a delicious fruit, but boy do I cop a lot of heat for even liking it. Real country music. All my friends say country sucks when they have only heard the modern pop version that sucks and won't listen to the classics. Traveling alone. There are no limits to what you can learn and discover about the world and yourself. Most of my friends can't even go to the grocery store alone. Allow me to throw myself to the dogs. Being a furry, everyone thinks that all we want to do is have sex with anything that moves or is fur covered. Well, it's just not so, and I'm really sick of Reddit being so close-minded about it. We're fundamentally no different to any other fandom, yet the sex stereotype remains. Honestly, I used to be a Britney, and people that stopped by our My Little Pony were often amazed at how non-weird we are. It's the same with our furry. Yes, there is a sexual part of the fandom, but that shouldn't define the entire fanbase. Reading comic books. So many people just think I'm an adult child who won't grow up. I'm sorry, but Star Wars is so cool, leave me alone. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.